Summer is fleeting. It has gone by so fast. It feels like summer is just arriving, while at the same time, it feels like it is already coming to an end. And we have been busy, busy the entire time. Each month, I look at our calendar and I tell my husband, I thought this month wasn't going to be busy. And he usually just chuckles, knowing that every month is a busy month, especially during the summer. However, I'm one of those people that I really enjoy doing things and going places and meeting up with friends and having play dates and all sorts of things like that. And my children enjoy getting out of the house too. However, I don't like being rushed. So that means that I like having plans, but I don't like feeling like I need to run out of the house in the morning. But this summer put a little bit of stress on that life motto because we did swim lessons, which was really exciting for my children. But it meant that we had to leave the house every morning for 3 weeks in a row at the same time to drive 30 minutes away to do swim lessons, and we felt rushed. We definitely established a routine to make the mornings go faster, but there were not a lot of days that we were just at home with nothing to do, unless the weather was really bad or swim lessons got canceled for one reason or another. So it was really a beautiful time to be at home and realize that we had nothing going on and we could do something other than swimming for the day. So today I asked my children if they wanted to help make cookies, and I don't think I have ever met a child that would say no to that because they are always extremely incentivized by knowing that at the end they will get to lick out the cookie dough. Or in my case, my children like to try to sneak cookie dough during the entire process. When I'm able, I try to let my children be as helpful as they can during the process of something like making cookies, but you also have to accept that that oftentimes means making a mess and trying not to lose your cool when you're cleaning things up. Like in this instance, my son was so overwhelmed that he had spilled things everywhere, and I'm just encouraging him that it's okay, messes happen, we'll just clean it up and we'll keep going. And he realized that it was not as big of a deal as he thought that it was going to be. He is just a very clean child compared to my others and does not like making messes everywhere. But we set out to make cookies today for a specific purpose, and that was to give them to our new neighbors. And when I say new neighbors, I mean they moved in like 2 months ago, but we are just now getting around to saying hi to them, which is okay because when we moved in, no one came to say hi to us for the first probably 6 months that we lived there. And even then, only one of our neighbors actually came to greet us, and no one has said anything ever since. So we figured that that did not need to set the precedent for greeting new neighbors. We could at least put in an effort to go say hi to the new neighbors, introduce ourselves, and give them a sweet little gift. Now, I could have made these cookies myself, but I knew that this was within the realm of abilities of my children, and I knew that this was something that they would be capable of helping me with and that they would want to help me with. And the bigger message here was that it was not just making cookies with my children, it was me explaining to my children that we were making the cookies not just for ourselves to have some of them, but to give them to someone else, which then stemmed my children asking questions about why we do things for other people and why we were making cookies for other people. And it opens up this whole new world of conversations that you can have with your children about ministering to others and serving others. And I find that that's a really important thing as Christians and as Orthodox Christians, that we set examples for our children and show them ways that they can minister to other people. This was not a task for my children, this was a fun thing for my children to do. They love making cookies, and they were also learning a great life lesson at the same time, and that I want it to be second nature for them to want to help other people or do nice things for other people. And then it warms my heart when, on other instances, my children will, out of their own free will, offer to do something for someone else. And I know that it's because we have planted that seed within them to do nice things for other people and to try to put other people first. However, I've learned and done a lot of contemplating during this week that serving others can be a blessing and it can also be a big struggle. And I say that because serving other people takes a lot of work from yourself, and it's a lot of work, especially depending on what life season you are in. So, right now, I have three children that are all under the age of 5. And life is hectic, not just with our own schedule, but even when we're in our own home on a, say, casual day, things can be absolutely crazy. On many days, I tell my husband that other than keeping our children fed and safe and loved, my main goals for the day are to do one load of laundry and one load of dishes because that keeps the house running and it will allow me to feel like it has been a successful day. But to be honest, some days are so crazy busy that even the laundry and the dishes do not get touched until later that evening. So to do anything else on top of it really can be a lot of work. But I often push myself to do things that I know are beyond my normal limit of what I feel like I can accomplish because I know that it's something that I want to do and I want to put the effort in to show other people that I want to do this for them. However, unfortunately, things don't always work out. And on day one, my cookies turned out absolutely horrible, which was slightly devastating, and my children were not going to object because it meant that they had more cookies to eat. So I decided the next day that I was going to remake them because the perfectionist in myself didn't want to not have good cookies for them. So I set my children up with another task, and that was to make thank you letters for their swim teacher because the next day was going to be the last day of their swim lessons. And I wanted to show them that there are many ways that they can show their appreciation for people. And this was one of them. My children love drawing pictures, love cutting and gluing, and all sorts of crafty things, which isn't always at the top of my favorite list of things to do. Even with a teaching background, I find it so hard to enjoy doing crafty things around the house because it comes, in my opinion, with even more of a mess than baking does. And baking is very messy. So I set them up and figured they helped yesterday. They already knew that they were participating in the cookie making, and I was going to just make another batch of cookies today myself while they worked on that other project, and we were both going to be working on great things as a way to serve other people. Now, if you have been around my channel before, you know that I love baking with sourdough. I do all sorts of baking with gluten-free sourdough because I have had celiac disease for over 15 years, so I have not been able to eat gluten for a very long time. And I've set out to create a lot of recipes because a lot of recipes that I try end up being duds. And what I found here this week is that these two recipes followed that exact same pattern. But while I was making cookies, I was also doing many other things in the house. So, like I said, with taking care of my children and taking care of the house and baking things, it can get really overwhelming at times. And I've done a lot of thinking about how serving others really needs to be done within the capacity of what I'm capable of doing. and I need to put emphasis on what I'm capable of doing and how much I am capable of doing at a time. Because it means that while I'm baking, I still have to stop to clean things up that my children are messing with, or I need to make bread because that is something that I like to keep stocked in the house, or I needed to go downstairs to the basement to fold and wash a load of laundry. There's always something that is going on. So, my normal rhythm and my normal daily routine take up a lot of time, even without adding in extra tasks like baking cookies and writing cards for people. So, during my reflection, I've realized that I need to prioritize the things that happen in life. And it's important to prioritize your faith, your family, your well being, and all sorts of things like that. And I've learned that extending yourself too much is really to your own detriment. I've heard this analogy used before about when oxygen masks drop on a plane that you're supposed to make sure you put on your own before you put on someone else's. And I find that this truly does relate to how you can serve other people in life. It seems like a really selfish thing to do, but it's also a matter of you have to realize that you can't help other people if you can't help yourself first. If you don't have air to breathe and time to feed into your own soul and to your own heart, then you won't have the heart and the time to serve in to other people and to fill up other people as well. So it's been a really hard time for me because I often realize that I want to do things for other people, but sometimes it's just beyond my capacity to do so, or it is something that's going to be extending me too far, and I know it's going to put my mental situation in not a good place. I want to keep myself in a healthy place so that I know that I can help other people when I am able. And it's really hard to accept that sometimes that means saying no, you can't do things, and being okay with that. It also sometimes means just accepting that things don't always work out and realizing that actions speak louder than words, and just thinking about something and showing someone that you would like to if you were able, or showing them that you tried, is a great way to express your love for someone as well. And in this instance, I've come to realize that the cookie situation is not going to work in my favor. This was my second day of making these cookies, and the second batch turned out just as horrible as the first batch. And I have decided that I am not making more cookies. I'm also not wasting cookies. My children ate the not so lovely first batch that I made, and they do not need this many more cookies. So we were going to take these cookies to our neighbors anyway and hope that they realize that there was a lot of love and effort put into them. Even if they did not turn out great, it was the gesture here that counted. And it's really hard for me to accept because I am a perfectionist. I like things to work out, but when it comes to gluten-free baking, many times things do not, which is why on my channel I have developed so many recipes for things that are gluten-free, because I get frustrated when other recipes do not work out. So I made a mental note that I need to develop my own chocolate chip cookie recipe and moved on with my day because I cannot stop and linger on one stressful thing that happened. So the next thing on today's to-do list was going to be making dinner for the family because, like I said, everything is intertwined. Serving others and doing things for other people happens right alongside things that need to happen within my own home. My children need to have dinner, my children need to be loved, my children need to play. So that might mean that even while I am trying to bake and do things for other people, I also need to be supervising my children while they are playing and doing things for my family. This is where your season of life really comes into play. And right now, my children are still young, but I also, even though I have a baby, do not have a newborn baby. And I found that really to settle back into any sort of normalcy after any number of baby can take about a year. That's when I feel like my rhythm starts to flow again. And that's when I personally feel like I can start adding things on to my daily tasks or the things that I am already doing inside of my home. So even though my children are young, I find, okay, I'm capable of doing this, so let's add this on to my daily task. This is a great way to serve someone else that I know I'm not going to be overextending myself. I recently had a friend ask me if acts of service was my top love language. And I paused for a moment when she asked me that because I have never had anyone actually acknowledge that within me before and say it out loud. My husband and I speak about love languages often. We speak about how they play a role in our relationship, how they play a role in relationships with friends and with other people. And we find knowing your love languages to be a really good tool to connect with someone and to deepen your relationship with them because it tells you a little bit about how they think and how they feel. If you aren't familiar with love languages, there's tests that you can take online that will basically ask you questions about yourself and it will help you come to a conclusion of what are the top ways that you feel loved and can show love for other people. And I have always leaned into thinking that I am someone who has a love language of words of affirmation or physical touch, but I never thought much about acts of service. Until recently, I've started to realize that I really do enjoy helping other people. And helping other people makes me feel good because I know that it is a way that I can help them feel good. It's a way that I can serve them, and it is something that is within my means. But that's when it comes back to things that I'm capable of doing. I'm not always capable of doing everything. I can do some things, but I cannot do everything. And that means setting a healthy boundary for yourself of when you feel like you have done all that you can and knowing when it is time to stop or tell someone that you would need to do that on a later date. This was a very packed full week because we were making cookies for a new neighbor, we were finishing up our swim lessons and writing thank you notes to our swim instructor, and I had decided that I was going to take it upon myself to make a meal for a mom who just had a baby and take it to her tonight because I've known that this sweet friend was going to be having her baby any day. And I knew that when she got home, she could use some rest and some help from others. And so many people brought me meals whenever I had my babies that I wanted to be able to do the same for her. And this falls into knowing what you're capable of doing. And making a meal for someone else falls within that realm. My family still needs to be fed, and her family needs to be fed, so I can simultaneously make dinner for both of us. And it falls within the realm of things that I am able to do without feeling overwhelmed, but still allowing me to have a serviced mindset and a way to minister to someone else that is in need at this time. I've spent a lot of summer making meals for other people, and it's been a blessing because I feel like it is serving them while at the same time serving me. It's allowing me to realize that what I'm doing is helping other people and it's making their life easier. This has been my go-to meal if you need to make a meal for someone that you know recently. I have been making broccoli with meatballs and pasta, and I always make sure I double check any allergies that they might have, write everything out on the top of it so that they know exactly what is in everything, and I make sure that I have everything separated, especially if the people have other little children in their home, because I don't want their children to not eat the food if they are picky eaters. My children eat everything together, but I want to do the best to make their life as easy as possible. If it's a new mom, I also recommend picking up a pack of granola bars or something else that would be healthy for her to munch on because you need it, especially if you're breastfeeding a baby. I know firsthand that it is very, very helpful to have little snacks lying around the house when you are hungry at every hour of the day. So I got the whole meal all loaded. I had 3 trays that were separated out. I was very excited and written a note on the top for the mom because I wanted her to know that she was loved and that people were thinking about her and praying for her. And I knew that this was something that I was capable of doing, and I wanted to show my love for her in this way and show her that if she needs something, I am here for her.
And now that I've actually gotten dressed for the day comes the most exciting part of going and delivering the meal to the sweet mama.